Box Organix TV. Today we're making sauerkraut. So we placed our order with boxorganics.com. We ordered green cabbage, red cabbage, Granny Smith apples, and red onions. And they came in this lovely box. Very nicely packed. First, what you want to do is you want to get your cabbage out of the plastic, and you don't want to wash it because there's beneficial bacteria. It's all organic. There's beneficial bacteria on it, and you don't want to wash that off. So what you do is you're going to remove all the outer leaves if they look like this, or if you see any, dirt or mold, especially if there's any mold, you want to get rid of the mold. So what I normally do is I quarter my cabbage and remove the core, because the core is bitter and hard and it just won't ferment and taste well. And you want to cut it in pieces that will fit in your food processor, or if you're going to slice it by hand, you want to make sure that it's easy to handle. We normally eat a tablespoon of sauerkraut with lunch and a tablespoon with dinner. My husband and my son really like a lot more than that. When you're first starting with fermented foods, you need to go a little bit low and slow, because it's the beneficial bacteria that are going to go in your gut and take over and help your digestive process and help your immune system. And if you don't really like sauerkraut, you can just take a tablespoon of the brine and it will do the exact same thing. So now we're moving over here to the food processor. As you can see, I've already shredded some. And I have my fermentation vessel. It has a water channel where the lid's going to go. And that's a good thing, because it will keep debris and any mold that's floating around your house and dust. It will keep it out of your fermenting. So you put water in the channel, and then you put the lid on, and it will be a barrier for your fermentation. I already have some cabbage in my fermentation pot. For each head of cabbage, you want to do two tablespoons of a fine sea salt, and you want to make sure it's sea salt. You don't want anything with iodine in it. So you put the cabbage in, you sprinkle some salt, and then you want to mash it. You really want to mash like this, because the salt with the cabbage is going to make the brine. It's going to make the liquid come out of the cabbage, and it will make the brine. So you put your cabbage in and your red onions. I've shredded some red onions in with it. Already put some salt in there, so I've done 2 heads of cabbage. So I put 2 tablespoons of salt, and I smashed it with my masher. And then I put another head of cabbage and 2 tablespoons of salt I sprinkled and smashed it with my masher. And then it's a starter for vegetables, and it just helps your fermentation process. This is the beneficial bacteria that you can buy, and it will help speed up your fermentation process. And I get mine from Caldwell's. You can get it at Amazon, or you can go to caldwells.com and get it. And it's just these little packages. And I just put it in my glass measuring cup, and then I put a cup of water. It's a cup of water per package. And that way, if you don't get a lot of liquid from your cabbage and the smashing process with the salt, this just helps move it along a little bit quicker. So I'm going to pour this in over the new cabbage that I've done. I'm going to put the salt in. And then I'm going to smash it. You need your workout for the day. This will help you out. And it sits in between while you're shredding, and that'll help the juices release from the cabbage. Now I'm going to shred the red. Just makes it prettier if you mix the red and the green. pretty. When your sauerkraut's done, after 21 days, you can check it, give it a taste, see if it's to your liking. And if you add the red, your sauerkraut's going to be a little bit pink. Makes it really pretty. Smash it a little bit more. Now with my apples. Like I said, you don't want to wash them because the beneficial bacteria are on there. But you do have to get the core out and the seeds. And I'm keeping the skin because there's a lot of the good nutrients and beneficial bacteria. I'm keeping the skin. This is just going to add that sweetness to the sauerkraut. It's going to be really good. Doing the green apples because green apples are really good for detox. And they've got a tart flavor. You can use any apple you want. We decided on the green. One more apple. I was going to do the same amount of apples as I did cabbage. I had 6 heads of cabbage, but our kids liked the green apples so much that they ate them before we could use them for the sauerkraut. I'm not going to complain about it too much. Okay, last apple's going in. I've added enough salt, so I'm not going to add any more salt. I don't want my sauerkraut to be too salty. And with mine, you got to make sure you get this water channel free of debris. You don't want anything in there that could cause mold. And then what you do, you want to use spring water. You don't want to use tap water or, from the hose. You want to make sure that you have clean spring water. Put it in your measuring cup. It's easier to pour. You pour that in the channel. And then you take the lid. You want to make sure that your brine covers everything that's in the fermentation vessel. You want at least an inch of brine above all of the cabbage and the onions and the apples. And then you want to put a weight on it because you don't want any of that coming up above the brine. If it does, that could mold and you don't want that. So these nice weights came with my fermentation vessel. You can use anything. You could get a brick and wrap it in a plastic bag and put it in there. Just make sure that everything is underneath the brine. You take the weight, you put it in there, you push it down so the brine covers it. And that will let you know that you're going to do safe fermentation. You put the lid on, and you push it back and forget about it for 21 days. Then I normally let my husband or my son taste it, see if it's to their liking, and then I get mason jars. And I pack the mason jar, make sure the brine is above, and I put it in the refrigerator. And we've got sauerkraut to have with every meal. If you're interested in doing sauerkraut, check out boxorganics.com. We've got all of the produce that you would need to make your lovely sauerkraut for your family. It's a lot cheaper than buying it in the store. You know it's safe because you made it yourself. As you can see, we've finished with our sauerkraut. We've made sure that there's plenty of brine covering everything. I've put the weights in, and the brine is covering the weights. There's at least an inch of brine above the sauerkraut. This makes sure that you're not going to have any mold or issues inside your fermenting vessel. Now I'm going to add the water in the channel. This is another way to make sure nothing gets in this pot. Put the water in the channel. And then you add the lid. You need to check your water every day and make sure that there's plenty of water, because it's going to evaporate. And the lid just kind of floats around. And as your sauerkraut ferments, it's going to burp every now and then. So you're going to walk by and it's going to go bloop, bloop. You know you've done it right if it makes a sound.